Have you ever noticed something strange? The more available you are for people, the less they seem to appreciate you. You reply quickly, you show up when they need help, you make time for everyone, yet somehow your kindness starts feeling invisible. People expect your support instead of valuing it. If this sounds familiar, then what you're about to hear might explain something you've been feeling for a very long time. There is a painful truth about human nature that most people discover only after being hurt by it. Respect is not only shaped by how good you are to others, it is also shaped by how you treat yourself. Many people believe that if they are always available, always understanding, and always willing to help, they will naturally receive appreciation and respect in return. But life often teaches a different lesson. Think about someone who is always there. No matter what time you call, they answer. No matter how many favors you ask, they agree. No matter how often you cancel plans, they forgive you. At first, this seems like kindness, and it is. But over time, something unexpected happens. People stop seeing the effort. They stop noticing the sacrifice. What was once appreciated becomes expected. Psychologically, human beings are very adaptable. We quickly become accustomed to what is constantly available. This is why we often value things more when they are limited. When something is always there, our minds stop paying attention to its value. It becomes part of the background. The same principle can apply to relationships, friendships, and even the way people perceive us. Imagine a friend who constantly rearranges their schedule for everyone else. They drop everything whenever someone needs them. At first, people are grateful, but after a while, the gratitude disappears. Not because the friend became less helpful, but because others became used to receiving that help. The behavior became normal. What was once special became ordinary. This is one reason why people may respect you less when you're too available. Not because they are bad people, but because human psychology naturally adapts to consistency. Appreciation often fades when effort becomes predictable. In relationships, this pattern can become even more painful. One person constantly gives emotional support. They listen to every problem, forgive every mistake, and make endless compromises. They believe love means always being available. Yet over time, they begin to feel ignored, overlooked, or taken for granted. Why does this happen? Because when your needs constantly come second, people unconsciously learn that your needs are not important. You may never say those words, but your actions communicate them. Every time you sacrifice your own priorities without limits, you teach others what to expect from you. This is where self-respect enters the picture. Respect from others often follows the example we set for ourselves. If you continuously treat your own time, energy, and emotional well-being as less valuable than everyone else's, people may start viewing them that way too. Carl Jung often spoke about psychological balance. He understood that healthy individuals do not lose themselves in serving others, nor do they become selfish and detached. They maintain a balance between caring for others and honoring themselves. When this balance is lost, resentment quietly begins to grow. Have you ever agreed to something you didn't want to do just because you didn't want to disappoint someone? Have you ever answered messages while feeling exhausted because you were afraid of seeming rude? Have you ever ignored your own needs because everyone else's seemed more important? Many people do this repeatedly without realizing the long-term effect. They become so focused on being liked that they slowly abandon their own boundaries. Ironically, this often produces the opposite result. Instead of earning more respect, they receive less. The reason is simple. Boundaries communicate value. They tell people that your time matters, your energy matters, your priorities matter. Without boundaries, people have no reason to recognize those things because they are never asked to. This doesn't mean you should become distant or unavailable. It doesn't mean ignoring people or playing games. Healthy boundaries are not walls, they are guidelines. They allow relationships to remain balanced rather than one-sided. Think about the workplace. There's often one employee who says yes to every request. They stay late, take on extra tasks, and solve problems that belong to others. Everyone appreciates them at first, but eventually, extra effort becomes expected. When they finally say no, people are surprised or even disappointed. Why? Because they have unintentionally trained others to expect unlimited access to their time and energy. The same pattern appears in families. Sometimes a family member becomes the person everyone relies on. They solve every crisis, handle every responsibility, and carry everyone's emotional burdens. Over time, people stop asking whether they're okay. They assume they'll continue giving no matter what. This can create a deep feeling of loneliness. Not because nobody cares, but because nobody realizes how much you're sacrificing. One of the most powerful psychological truths is that people often respond to the value you place on yourself. When you protect your time, people learn that your time matters. When you protect your peace, people learn that your peace matters. When you respect your own boundaries, people are more likely to respect them too. Scarcity is not valuable because it is rare. Scarcity is valuable because it signals importance. If something is constantly available without limits, the mind naturally assumes it requires little effort. But when something is protected, people recognize its worth. The same applies to your attention, your kindness, and your presence. Ask yourself a difficult question. Are people taking you for granted because they don't care about you, or because you've taught them that your availability has no limits? The answer may be uncomfortable, but it can also be liberating. Because if the problem is unlimited availability, then the solution is not becoming colder. The solution is becoming more balanced. You can still be kind, you can still be supportive, you can still be generous, but generosity becomes healthier when it comes from choice rather than obligation. Kindness becomes stronger when it includes yourself. Many people spend years wondering why they feel invisible despite doing so much for others. The answer is often hidden in the way they treat their own needs. They give everyone else permission to matter while denying that same permission to themselves. The moment you begin valuing your own time, energy, and emotional well-being, something interesting happens. People start responding differently. Not because you've changed who you are, but because you've changed what you communicate. In the end, respect is not something you chase. It is something that naturally grows when your actions show that you understand your own worth. Being available is not a weakness. Caring is not a weakness. Giving is not a weakness. The real danger appears when you give so much that you disappear from your own life. And perhaps the deepest question is this: if you treated yourself with the same care, attention, and respect that you constantly give to others, how different would your life look today? Because the way people treat you often begins with the way you treat yourself.